the way that I think, and I don't know if it's just all because we're creatures of habit or whatever it was, it seemed to be very confusing, and quite frankly, we did not look very good up there going through these agendas. There was some confusion, there were some things that didn't look quite right. We had some resolutions come through, not, you know, where we're recognizing students for different achievements and things like that, and they weren't the ones that we have that were signed by us, so there were just a few things that just kind of looked a little funky. So we thought we would kind of take a step back and look at what we could do to kind of make it a little smoother. So with that, we do still want to be able to have the flexibility to add those things in when.
Yes, and I used last month's, or just so I could have,
This
like,
is just
I could have info.
A template?
Yeah,
This is just a template, it's not an actual agenda, I just want to make sure that we get it. Just to kind of show you, it's kind of a, I'm just gonna have you guys share. So it's kind of a compromise between the two, where it still leaves the flexibility of adding the items, because those items that were, so if you go to the second page, you'll see, I'm sorry? Yeah. So you'll go to the second page where you'll see all of those things that were discussion and vote on appointment that were, those will still stay, so that if things need to be added last minute, they still can be. But there's a resolution number to it, so it's a little easier for.
So do we number it at the meeting, like the?
No, I just left it,
Oh,
I
okay,
just,
okay,
this is just an,
gotcha.
it's just an
Okay.
example.
It's
Okay.
just a
So
template, just to
HO
kind of.
201,
Right, so whatever it is, so it still has the same
Mhm.
feel to the old agenda that clearly appeals to us.
Alright.
But it offers the flexibility that we need to have all of the other things to be able to, you know, to be able to be added, but it still, it looks a little bit more how we are used to, and part of it is, and I believe this, and it could just be me, but resolution numbers are easier for reference as we're going back to try and find things. It's just a little bit easier to have those resolution numbers to understand, you know, oh, I'm looking for such and such, and it just makes it a little bit easier to find things. So, that's why we'd like to put these back, and the things that we know that are, that may have different language attached to them, as far as any of the layoffs, because it's the different dates and different things like that. So those are the kinds of things that that won't be, you know, that will have their own little thing. But this, and Sue came up with this as, you know, kind of a compromise between the two. So it still allows for the flexibility, but it still maybe provides us with a little bit more of a cohesive,
Mm.
so we don't look like morons who are
Yeah.
sitting up there.
Has Ron looked at this?
No,
Okay.
Ron will take a look at this before, but.
No, I just typed up some, I'm just
Right,
giving some
okay.
gave you
Yeah,
some
okay.
suggestions, like resolutions, like, right, the layoffs, like, that would actually be an actual resolution, like, that's not gonna have an add-on, like, you know, the day of the meeting. Like approvals of MOAs, that should be a specific resolution. Terminations, those should be standalone. Like, you know, in the agenda itself, like, that's not gonna change. Like, I had mentioned it to her, like leaves of absence, like, because sometimes, right, don't they, the paragraph numbers change in certain ones depending on the article, depending on who's gonna.
If, for the leaves, the articles in the
Yeah,
contract are
the
usually,
contract, yeah.
they're
If you have a name there, you should really leave the name out, because if you're gonna put it, you could have multiple people and you won't be able to add them at that point. You should never have names on the resolutions. If you do a resolution,
No, it's just, I have a question, well, I had a question to her on it, like, I wasn't sure on it, so that's why, it's just an example, I just used it because we had data from last month's
yeah, I
meeting.
understand that, because you did all the rest, like, how I can understand.
so in other words, to just leave it without, so just at the end,
Yeah.
just end it there.
Yeah, do the resolution, like you have, a discussion of vote, whatever that is,
Okay,
and you can sign a number to it, but don't add names
Don't
until
add
you do the
names.
backup.
Okay.
So
So
they
that
all
was,
look the
that was,
same.
my,
Okay.
that was my question to her,
Yeah.
I was unsure on that, I just put it there just to show her.
I think
Yeah.
not only is it easier for us, who are, like you said, creatures of habit, I think it's a lot more transparent for the public.
Right.
I really couldn't help but feel like we weren't being transparent during that time, and it wasn't for lack of not wanting to be, it was just we were trying out this new system, but I feel this, I don't know, maybe like you said, it's just because we're creatures of habit and this is how we're used to it being, but I just feel like this is more transparent to the public when they're gonna be reviewing minutes and things like that.
Right.
And I think Dan even mentioned at one point, you were a reader of the minutes,
I
so
am a reader.
you-
Yeah.
Right, so, I mean, what do you think? You agree with that, about it's more transparent format?
You know, it's funny, like, the more information I can have, the better, I always like it, so, as many names, I know we're taking names out, believe it or not,
But you
I'd
get it, in the
look
back-
at-
you get it in
when
the
I get it, but
background.
as a member of the public, I look at those names as well.
Right, but we have to protect
Yeah.
ourselves from not being in violation
Right.
of Open
And
Meetings Act
that's,
at the end of the day, so that's, you know.
yeah, and that's a big issue. The other thing, you know what I always felt most, with this new format, I felt most foolish when we, as you said, when we were recognizing students.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
what I was gonna
I think
say.
each student,
Yeah.
each group of students
Each
deserve
class,
their
yeah.
own resolution like they were before.
Yeah.
I agree.
And the only reason, I'm sure that's what you meant, but there's no example of that on this one, so I can't really.
Yeah, no, I know exactly.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when we looked, I think, most, it was
Yeah, that
welcome
was
for
bad.
them, it was welcome for
That's
us,
nice.
and,
No, if you say I did, I didn't put all of them, but I just took one of them. Like, I just
okay.
said, it's just an exam, I mean, I wasn't.
Yeah, show me which one.
Like, see on the, you go to the second page,
Yeah, I'm on it.
just the 18, there's no number to it. Just so we'd still have the same, we still have how they were before with the names. I'll do the certificates. It'll have a resolution number and the names exactly how they were done before. It's not a resolution that would change.
So, when we're recognizing students,
It'll be
an
exactly how
example,
it was before.
Cranston West, you know, won
Right.
championship of some sort, right?
Yeah, no, this
The
this
student-
is just for her.
Okay.
There wouldn't be a problem naming the students on said team in the resolution.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna
which-
do.
And
Yeah.
keep a standalone resolution for
Right,
Yes.
each
which is,
one.
that's how we used to do it.
That's the way we used that.
Yeah, exactly how they were done before.
And
so
only
many
because
months
that
ago.
type of resolution is not included in the example, that's what I'm
Right.
clarifying.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No, it
Yeah, we
It
say-
is, it's just not like complete
It is?
full, because if you look, I started it, I just didn't put all their names because it was so run up
I get
in the
it.
background. I couldn't make heads or tails what along with what, so, but I noted it in my email to her.
I get you.
So it's just a matter of kind of, I don't know, I thought it was a good compromise between what you need as far as flexibility and what we need as far as creatures of
Green and
habit.
blue.
And making it, well, no, I mean, honestly, like, we talked about it, and really, the stuff that we should have been looking at the meetings was the backup. And the agenda piece was really just a guide to go through. And if we looked at it like that, and maybe given more time, it would start to be a little clearer and maybe catch on.
Nope.
But, but I got a lot of feedback that indicated otherwise. So, in an effort to kind of allow us to still have the flexibility and
Jeff's gonna be so happy.
and to make everyone here feel a little
Yeah.
easier about sitting at a meeting and looking like you know what you're doing.
Let's keep the
It's a nice-
personnel only. And the like conferences should be standalone, like with the information, like the conferences of and field trips of long duration should still be specified in the resolutions. Is that, you still want that too?
I think that can be in backup as well,
I mean,
in
I think
case somebody wants to, we've had situations where we've had last minute, it doesn't happen often, but we've had trips that have come in. And so I think, I don't know that we need to be specific, I think we could just put of long duration and then put that in the backup as well.
Yeah, so I think that we can keep, I think that we can
Right.
keep
It's just
that
a
doing
student,
that.
make sure they get it
So,
already.
are you good with that?
What?
Both of you, with this, are you good with this proposal?
Yeah, I guess the question is, what am I sending?
You're sending, I think you're going back to sending the information that you were sending.
Yeah.
You're not, it's more the formatting that is kind of, however you were doing it before, so that you don't have to,
Like before December?
I believe
Yeah,
so,
okay.
right? I mean,
Yep.
is that,
Well, that means all of us will have to then send stuff, it's not centralized anymore. So we all,
But
we all.
if,
No, I'm just saying, we need
Can I-
to, the way it was before was bits and pieces were going to her,
right,
okay?
do
And
you
so-
wanna leave it that it's a centralized? I mean, this is more, this is on your end, I think more of a function for whatever works better for you guys. The outcome of what it looks like is what functions better for us, so let's,
I prefer it stays centralized,
so,
this way we're not missing anything.
and going back and
Yeah, but
forth,
that doesn't answer the question. So she's doing this,
she's formatting,
formatting the agenda, and
Right.
then we're supplying the backup information.
right, does that make sense? Alright, does that work for everybody?
Mm.
Right.
So on every,
But it's not in the times you guys discuss it.
so would every agenda have all of these things listed as possibilities, or is it like?
No, only items
Only
that,
items that
would,
actually, so
Okay.
it's gonna still remain only the items that are actually going to be on the agenda. But if they are on the agenda, they're going to be listed like that, so that
Yep.
you have the flexibility to add.
And
so
then the
it's-
backup will have all the names and
Right.
everything
With the
that it-
exception of any student awards. The student
Student
awards will
awards
be
done.
listed as they used to be.
Right,
but now for like the agenda, do you want them, once they have like, so like they're, like, or if they know they're gonna have, sorry, you know, like say, I mean, they know they're gonna have this, that, like, they're gonna send it to me, and I'll format with the numbers and the agenda and everything, and then recirculate.
Mhm.
It's not gonna be created and then sent to me.
no, I don't think so.
Okay, well,
You're not,
clarify that, because I wouldn't clarify.
yeah, you're not, right, you're not creating the agenda and sending it to her, she's gonna
Yep,
create.
I got that.
Okay, alright, I was,
Yeah, no, I got it, because we were just talking about, so you're just getting from us,
mhm,
you're just getting that, back page, these pages here. And it's gonna appear just like that, the certified personality, you're just gonna get names underneath it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And you overall information that you
Right.
normally put.
and then any of the other, oh, he said it's gonna do this. You're gonna get like this. Yeah,
And if there's, say, like, you know, discussion to go on the memorandum of agreement, I mean, to obviously send that to me, and then with the agreement.
so then the only other thing is gonna be, because again, we have the time crunch that we have to always be very concerned about, so that, when we look at what we're sending, if we could have everything, as much as everything is humanly possible by the Tuesday, for her to format and then send it back.
Review it on Wednesday, because by the time I get out of work, I mean, I was literally posting the agenda like 4 minutes before I was going to the doctor's the other night, like, I only have so long before when I get out of work to get gathered and get home. I'm cutting it close being able on a Thursday night to get this posted by 6 o'clock in order to be in compliance for Monday. So I would need to post this. I mean, I can definitely, and I said to her, I can make exceptions, I know there's plenty of times where it's like, you know, we're really on a deadline, we're waiting, we, you know, need something, you know, we need till at least, you know, Thursday afternoon, then I don't mind like taking my lunch and taking my breaks, but it's like I'm getting busy at work, like I'm not always able to take a break, but I mean, I make it a point to, you know, to be able to do that when I have to post stuff or have to do stuff, but it's like, I can't do that like every single time that we have to, you know, have to get the agenda. I can definitely make exceptions, but in order for it to be, you know, to be done, I mean, I could have something completely like, you know, blow up on me during the day and I don't get a break at all. And I could potentially miss a deadline posting this on a Thursday if I wait every single time we're gonna post, you know, post an agenda by the deadline on Thursday night.
Is that, I mean, I don't wanna say that
Well,
we're,
I have the agenda done now, sitting here,
okay.
okay, unless we added anything. So I could send it today, I could send it tomorrow.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, if we look at it and we say, what's today, oh, today's Monday. So if we say, okay, so,
But keep in mind,
yes,
once you make that decision, and there is nothing yet on the agenda for that item,
Right.
and you lost that item completely,
right.
okay, that's just,
Well, we,
no.
but we, I guess the problem is, so like, even with this agenda, there was an item that in an earlier email that I had, and it was, we had gone back and forth a few times. There was backup that was supposed to be attached, and then Sue had a question about it, and then she questioned me, and I'm like, yeah, the email said yes, and then you answered back and you were like, oh, no, it doesn't have to be, and we were like,
Well, she was past the time already that
So,
I got the,
well,
I
there
read
was
her
that,
email.
right, so it's just
there's no
kinda,
reason, yeah.
so
You
that's.
prefer, you want everything attached to the agenda for the backup for
I mean,
it's probably the cleaner.
we have a deadline, it has to be done by, we don't have any wiggle room as far as 6 o'clock Thursday is when it has to be in.
I mean,
So
and
if
I don't
we-
mind, I mean, I know that there's time, I mean, you guys are on time crunches, you're waiting for documents to come in, or you're waiting for a response from, you know, whether it be Ron, or, you know, something else to kind of come down the pike, and you need that Thursday day, well then, I don't mind, I can, you know, make it a point, like I said, take my break at the end of the day, but it's like, I'm doing that all the time, like, every week, and it's